Good morning, guys. Welcome back to the channel. Today is an exciting day. I've been wanting to do this for a while. Today, as you can see in the title of the video, we're going to be installing Wilwood's disc brakes on the 69 build. I ordered these about 4 or 5 months ago. They were on back order. They finally came in. So today we will be installing them. I don't know about you, but when I think of top of the line brakes, the first thing that comes to mind is Wilwood brakes. So I'm very excited to get these on. I'm going to eat breakfast and then we'll get out in the shop and get installed. So let's do it. Fruity Pebbles are the best. Ugh.
Are they the best?
You want some?
Good.
Come on. One bite. One bite.
No, I'm good.
Come on.
Jack, if you want me to.
I'll see you guys in the shop. It is -10 out today. Normally I would have the shop doors open to allow better light into the shop. Not today. I am not made for this weather. We have our 6-piston caliper right there. We have our bearing hub right here. You don't have to pack any bearings, get grease everywhere. It's all one unit right there. Brake pads, obviously. We have the rotor. This is the hat. Sits right there on top of the rotor. We have the bracket for the caliper. We have the steering arm. We are running rack and pinion. That should be in any day. Once we get that, it'll connect to the steering arm. We have the Pro drop spindle, 2.5-inch drop spindle, and then the hardware. The first thing we need to do is get the hub and everything installed on the spindle. A trick I seen, you can take an old wheel and mount everything to the wheel. That way it's not moving on you. You can torque everything down just a little easier. So I'm going to get everything installed on the spindle and then we will get it installed on the control arms. Let's get after it. All right, guys, so I got the spindle fully assembled. I started with putting in my studs, torqued those down to 77 foot-pounds, and then I mounted the spindle on the hub, torqued these down to 100. After that, I put on my steering arm, torque those down to 90, and then put in my steering stop right there. So now it is fully assembled and we are ready to install it on the control arms. All right, I got my spindle done. It looks good. One thing I had to do, I had to use a ratchet and jack to compress my shock to get the castle nut on my upper and lower ball joint. I don't have any weight on my frame, so that's what I did there. Keep in mind, if you don't have aftermarket control arms, you will need to upgrade your ball joints to 73 to 87 because the spindle takes the bigger ball joint. So that looks good, that's done. Next step is my rotor. I have my hat right here. I am going to install the rotor on the hat and then we'll get it installed. Let's go. Rotor is on, looks really nice, clean. Now I'm gonna take the caliper bracket and mount it to the back of the spindle right there, and then we'll get the caliper put on. Perfect. All right, guys, I got the caliper on there. If you look closely, you can see that the gap on the caliper is really tight to the rotor right there versus this side. I need that to be even on both sides so that when my brake pads are in there, it wears evenly on the rotor. So what I need to do is I need to put some spacers in the caliper bracket right here to the spindle to push the caliper back to make this even on both sides so that my pads wear evenly. Wilwood sends you these washers right here, or spacers. So I'm gonna put these spacers in between the caliper bracket and the spindle and get that even on both sides. And then we'll put the pads in and we'll adjust accordingly. If you remember, we did not torque or put any thread lock on that so that we could adjust it. So after we get it where we want it, then we'll put some thread lock on it and we'll torque it down. I got the caliper set right where I like it, got the pads in. So what I had to do was I added a shim right there on the caliper bracket to the spindle on the top and bottom to push the bracket back. And then I also added a shim right there to bring the caliper back to make sure that the brake pads were flush with the rotor right there. So I shimmed it back towards us, and then I shimmed it over to make sure that my gaps were even. Looks really good. So this one is done. One thing I forgot to mention that I did was I put some nuts on here so that I knew the rotor was in place and it wasn't moving around on me. So I threw these nuts on here to hold it in place so that I could get the perfect gaps on the caliper. So this one's done. Now we're going to repeat everything on the other side. What's going on, everybody? It's been a few days since that last clip, but everything's done, so let's go take a look. Alright guys, well that's going to be it for this video. I hope it was helpful. I am pleased with the brakes. The quality's top notch. The installation went smoothly. So if you're on the fence about spending the money for Wilwood, I would say go ahead and do it. You won't regret it. I am very happy with it. I do know my ball joint isn't sitting correctly on the spindle right there. I don't have any weight on my frame. So as soon as I get weight on the frame, that'll seat correctly in the spindle and I'll be able to torque the castle nut right there. But yeah, thanks again to Wilwood. Like I said earlier, it's been a few days since I recorded that last clip and installed the brakes. So I was able to get my rack and pinion installed. If you'd like to see the install video on that or just follow along with this build, make sure you subscribe to my channel. Till next time, peace.